This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
U.S. and Chinese officials said on Tuesday they had agreed on a framework to get their trade truce back on track and remove China's export restrictions on rare earths, while offering little sign of a durable resolution to long-standing trade tensions. At the end of 2 days of intense negotiations in London, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told reporters the framework deal puts meat on the bones of an agreement reached last month in Geneva to ease bilateral retaliatory tariffs that had reached crushing triple-digit levels. But the Geneva deal had faltered over China's continued curbs on critical minerals exports, prompting the Trump administration to respond with export controls of its own, preventing shipments of semiconductor design software, aircraft and other goods to China.
Oil demand growth will remain robust over the next 2.5 decades as the world population grows, OPEC Secretary General Haytham Al-Ghais said on Tuesday. The organization expects a 24% increase in the world's energy needs between now and 2050, with oil demand surpassing 120 million barrels per day over that time period. That estimate is in line with the group's 2024 world oil outlook. There is no peak in oil demand on the horizon, Al-Ghais said, speaking at the Global Energy Show in Calgary, Alberta.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Oil demand growth will remain robust over the next 2.5 decades as the world population grows, OPEC Secretary General Haytham Al-Ghais said on Tuesday. The organization expects a 24% increase in the world's energy needs between now and 2050, with oil demand surpassing 120 million barrels per day over that time period. That estimate is in line with the group's 2024 world oil outlook. There is no peak in oil demand on the horizon, Al-Ghais said, speaking at the Global Energy Show in Calgary, Alberta.
U.S. natural gas output and demand will both rise to record highs in 2025, the U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, said in its short-term energy outlook, STIO, on Tuesday. EIA projected dry gas production will rise from 103.2 billion cubic feet per day, BCFD, in 2024 to 105.9 BCFD in 2025 and 106.4 BCFD in 2026. That compares with a record 103.6 BCFD in 2023. The agency also projected domestic gas consumption would rise from a record 90.5 BCFD in 2024 to 91.3 BCFD in 2025 before easing back to 91.1 BCFD in 2026. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Gold prices rose on Wednesday as uncertainty surrounding the finalization of a U.S.-China trade agreement weighed on sentiment and fueled some safe haven buying, with investors awaiting key U.S. inflation data for further market direction. Spot gold gained 0.5% to $3,337.99 an ounce, as of 0544 GMT. U.S. gold futures rose 0.5% to $3,359.20. U.S. and Chinese officials said on Tuesday they had agreed on a framework to put their trade truce back on track and remove China's export restrictions on rare earths, following 2 days of negotiations in London, with both sides planning to seek approval from their respective presidents.
Zimbabwe will ban the export of lithium concentrates from 2027 as it extends its push for more local processing, Mines Minister Winston Chitando said on Tuesday. Africa's top producer of lithium, used in batteries to power renewable energy technologies, banned the export of lithium ore in 2022 and has been pushing miners to process more domestically. Lithium miners in Zimbabwe, who are mostly from China, have been exporting concentrates to their home country.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
India's rice stocks in government warehouses rose 18% from a year ago to a record high for the start of June, while wheat stocks have hit their highest level in 4 years on higher procurement from farmers, official data showed on Wednesday. Record rice stocks will help the world's biggest exporter increase shipments, while an improvement in wheat inventories will help the federal government tame any price spikes later this year by increasing open market sales. State reserves of rice, including unmilled paddy, totaled a record 59.5 million metric tons as of June 1, far exceeding the government's target of 13.5 million tons for July 1.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.